Yay! In the room with Garrett Armwood for his debut interview.
My first one. What's up, Skye?
Your first interview, and you're my first friend in politics.
That is true. We go way back.
To Nassau County politics days, 2013. Jinx!
There you go. Yeah, it was the Tom Suozzi campaign. I remember that. We met outside of your house.
Yeah, and you came to my house because in 2013, I was an intern at News 12, Long Island, and my job was to hold the microphone and interview Tom Suozzi and Ed Mangano. And I liked what Tom said, so I went on his website. I had no idea what politics was, but I liked him. So I went on his website and I signed up and I said, I want to host a party. Mom and Dad, can we host a party? So then they sent you, the campaign sent you to our house in Muttontown.
Scope it out. I was grizzly then. I was unshaven and tired. I remember that well, but you did throw that party. And I remember, the first thing I remember about you is you were really into SNAP benefits. Like you talked to me a lot about SNAP benefits and food insecurity and nutrition, and you had done like a thesis on it, I think.
Good memory. Yeah, I did my master's in public health at Stony Brook, and that was my thesis project, was studying SNAP benefits.
Exactly. I remember we talked about it for a while.
And the Mike Bloomberg soda ban.
The soda ban. That's
yeah,
right.
that's right. Good memory. Yeah. So I went from that to doing this.
And now look at you. And you got me in the room.
And I got you in the room. So I'm so happy for you to be here. So I want everyone to understand who you are and where you come from, because after I met you in 2013, you spent the next decade working in government and politics.
Yep. We met on Long Island, where I spent most of my time working in politics. You know, I had worked on the Tim Bishop campaign back in 2010, right out of college. I had foregone going to law school. I didn't think I wanted to do it. And one campaign turned into 2, turned into 5, turned into 6 or 7. And so in like a 3 or 4 year period, I'd done a bunch of campaigns. And then I got hooked up with Steve Israel, our friend, then congressman, who really welcomed me into government and kind of gave me my first taste in understanding how good officials in government who care and motivate their staff can really impact people's lives. And then from Steve Israel's office, I met Chuck Schumer, the senator, and I worked for him on Long Island for a few years, where we saw each other more frequently. And then we both kind of moved into the city at the same time, when I still stayed with Schumer and you started your media empire.
Yeah, that's right. We had those parallel moments in our lives.
Yeah.
What was it about campaigns that you loved so much?
I think I like the commitment to something. You know, I'm definitely someone who likes working hard. I think I get energized by working hard. I like being around people that work hard, and like the best campaigns are all comprised of those elements, right? Like it's a difficult thing you're trying to do. It's challenging. It has unforeseeable twists and turns. And the campaigns that succeed are the ones that get a lot of smart people together that work really hard and are committed to a shared goal.
And then going from campaigns now into government, what was that like?
So going into government was interesting, right? A lot of people that are in government now come from campaigns. And then there are people that are in government that have nothing to do with politics or nothing to do with campaigns. So it's an interesting blend of that skill set from campaigns, and then also people who have studied a specific field, whether it be like food insecurity and SNAP, city planning and transportation, roads, energy. You know, it's an interesting group, but fundamentally, like the system is based on getting elected. Then those people who get elected by us get to make those decisions for appointees into different departments, into agencies, into councils that make their decisions. So underlying it all is the politics. And I think that's always been what's most interesting to me. The politics drives so much of the policy.
And the personalities too.
Absolutely.
And juggling different types of egos and personalities in this game is a whole nother level.
All politics is personality. So Steve Israel once said something to me that was really funny, and I think I espouse it to other people. All politics is driven on umbrage, right? People's ability to say, you've done something to me, now you need to do this for me. And that's so true when you think about the personalities that drive decisions and who's getting along with who and who's friends with who, and what we're working on together.
And just navigating that landscape. I know that it gives politics maybe a bad name or a dirty name, but when you're in it for the good reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I agree with that, but I also think you get the politics you deserve, right? So like the more people that get engaged, the more people who vote, we're gonna have a better politic. We're gonna have a better body politic because more people are participating in that body. When we have like less participation, the people who are most animated by things that really upset them or they really wanna get done, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
Right? So
you decided about 2 years ago now to leave government and segue into your big private sector role, Mr. Executive.
Yeah, I left Schumer's office just under 2 years ago. I joined SL Green Realty Corp, Manhattan's largest commercial office landlord, the dominant player in the commercial real estate space here in New York and Manhattan, and that was intentional. That was intentional on my part, right? I'd spent the last 7 years with Chuck running around New York, so focused on New York. That's such Chuck's brand, and I knew that whatever I did next, I wanted to feel as close to New York as possible. And so, what's better than a huge real estate company that only wants to do business in New York City, the toughest place to do it.
Yeah. And that role, there wasn't someone in that role previously. That role was pretty much created for you.
Yeah, that's correct. They had contemplated people for a while, but given the recovery from the pandemic, the direction of the company, and a few major projects that they wanted to work on, they felt like it was time to bring someone in, and I was the one they chose.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I love it. I mean, I think it's a good fit. I think SL Green, Mark Holliday, the entire team, I think, I vibe well with them. My personality, their work ethic, all the things that I'm looking for, a group of highly intelligent, highly motivated people working to solve complex problems. And, they've had a lot of success doing it. And so I'm glad, I feel glad to find a place that I fit into, but also fortunate.
And how does your knowledge of government and politics inform your role now in the private sector?
Yeah, I think when you come into a role in the private sector, not having worked in government or only really getting a civic education through grammar school or high school, you don't have a sense of how governmental decisions are made. You really read about it in the media, but you don't necessarily go through those same steps of how people get to those decisions. And the same is true for any industry, right? I had no concept of what went into the decisions behind an equity investment in real estate before I came here, right? But now I sit with a group of people who make those decisions every day. And so I think I've been able to help the team and the company just think about the way governmental decisions are made from a different lens, right? From someone who's been there, who factors in everything from the role that government has to play in people's lives, the overarching politics, which we know drive it at times, and then to better position ourselves to help the city recover, right? So the first project that I really was brought on to work on was office to residential conversions, right? There's a housing shortage here. Post-pandemic, there's a dearth of vacant office buildings, particularly here in Midtown Manhattan, right? And so there needs to be a new plan for what happens to all that vacant office space. And so it was really an elegant solution. If we have all this vacant real estate that is not going to come back in the same way, and we have a need for more space for real estate, for new use, housing, affordable housing, why don't we put those two things together? And so working with folks like Rob Schiffer at SL Green and Mark Holliday, we went about coming up with a plan for one of our buildings, 750 3rd Avenue, and then sharing our findings with key decision makers as to how they could best use our knowledge, our information, and our data to come up with a program that works for all of New York.
And even involving that, it's like a public-private partnership, having to work with the city and understand the different agencies, understanding the different decision makers, which is probably something you understand very well because it's coalition building from the inside out and from the outside in.
Absolutely, and I think when you're someone like SL Green and you're the dominant player in the commercial real estate office space, there's a natural synergy to you working with government, right? Government wants people to want to move here and be in office spaces, and we are the ones who identify what those changes can be to a particular building to attract new tenants into it, right? To revitalize a building, which can revitalize a corridor, which can revitalize a neighborhood, and has revitalized the city to the extent possible.
Yeah, and you're someone like me, I love government. I I love government. And I love elevating the good work that my friends, both in the private sector and the public sector, are doing.
Absolutely. It's been a joy to be at SL Green thus far. I remember someone told me that aren't you gonna get bored? Chuck told me, Garrett, aren't you gonna get bored? I'm not bored at all. I spend every day waking up early, reading the newspaper, doing the same things, and then every day throws a new challenge at you. So it's been a fun, unbelievably rewarding ride thus far.
Do you still keep in touch with Chuck?
Yeah. Keep in touch with Chuck, the staff. I mean, that's like politics. You keep in touch with everyone, but of course.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
It is.
So you talked about the housing, the conversions from commercial to residential. What other sorts of big projects are you working on?
Yeah, well, just this morning we presented another conversion and adaptive reuse of 1515 Broadway in Times Square to become one of New York City's first downstate gaming facilities. So Caesar's Palace Times Square. It was really exciting. It's been the culmination of a lot of work, and now we're beginning kind of the first phase of the deciding process. But we had a really, really big meeting this morning. For everyone that's involved in the project, from Mark Holliday to Jay-Z to Desiree Perez to Caesars and Brian Agnew to our supporters like the Mason Tenders, like the laborers, Local 79, to local restaurants, to local residents were there to support us.
Wow. What's it like working with Jay-Z?
I mean, I think Jay-Z, Rock Nation, the thing that I love about them is how authentic they are in every room that they step in, right? He said something today, like in the meeting, in the recording, was like, I'm from Marcy. Desiree is like, I'm from the Bronx. Like, you can tell their lived experience is coming up, not, they had to climb up from where they came from, right? And they've carried that climb and that struggle, even though they're at the pinnacle of what anyone would hope to achieve, they carry that struggle and the experiences that they had with them. So they can walk into any room and be comfortable. Jay-Z's a billionaire, but he can also walk into Marcy and everyone's comfortable with him because he's just been in every type of room there is possible. And I think that there's a wealth of knowledge and talent and just experience at navigating life that comes from people who've been through that.
So how did this partnership even come about between SL Green, Caesars Palace, Jay-Z, Rock Nation? How did that come about?
So if you remember, back in 2013, then Governor decided that it was time to have a constitutional amendment to allow for live table gaming here in New York State. So it was literally against the Constitution to game at a table like you would do in other parts of the country or the world. That passed overwhelmingly, and then the legislature went into a process of establishing a citing process. So the constitutional amendment said that there could be 7 licenses in New York, 4 of them going upstate and 3 downstate. Those decision makers decided or felt that anything that happened downstate would have more of a draw and could be a hindrance to any economic productivity that came out of those facilities upstate. And so they gave a 7-year head start window to the 4 upstate casinos. And then in 2021, we passed that 7-year head start. And so the state started the downstate licensure process for the remaining 3. And that process has kicked into high gear as of June 30th, when 8 applicants submitted their bid. We're one of them, and we think that there's no better place for a world-class gaming and entertainment destination than the city's entertainment district, Times Square.
So tell us about this project in Times Square. What does it look like, and how does it compare to some of the other bids out there?
It's an adaptive reuse of 1515 Broadway. If you remember the old TRL building, right? It was like an entertainment mecca of our youth. Would like run home to watch who was on TRL, what video was debuting. It's that same building, right? Like, it's always had an entertainment use. And so we're just simply taking that building, we're turning the office tower into hotel rooms, and then we're doing a little remassing in the podium and upgrade, make new signs, terraces, and we're adding gaming floors, and one of the things that I think is so special about this approach, right, is it's not what I think most people think about when they think about casinos, right? Mm-hmm. They think about Atlantic City, they think about Las Vegas, and they think of these long, sprawling gaming floors. And that's not what makes sense here in New York, right? We're landlocked, we're almost overbuilt, we're trying to scrap around and convert buildings to build more housing, we're trying to take our vacant lots and build housing and make them productive and affordable. We don't need these large podium-style casinos here if they're coming. What we need to do is think about what space we have available that could be put to this use, what's that best location for that space, and then do it. And we think the bow tie of Times Square, where there's already so much entertainment, energy, hospitality, restaurants, theaters, right? You don't need to capture all that stuff inside the building like what happens in Las Vegas. Here in New York, you just need to bring gaming because that's the only thing that's new. And let everyone who comes here to game, who wouldn't otherwise come here, go outside of the building and go eat in our restaurants, stay in our other hotels, go to check out Broadway shows, go check out off-Broadway shows, right? Go check out the new development happening at One Jamestown. It's going to be a brand new welcome center, or One Times Square, the Jamestown project, One Times Square, which is going to be a new welcome center for Times Square. It's going to have a museum. It's going to have new bathrooms. It's going to have an observation deck. It's going to be phenomenal, right? And so as Times Square re-envisions itself post-COVID, let's also think about, as these gaming licenses come online, shouldn't that go in the entertainment district rather than in a residential neighborhood?
Right, rather than take away from housing. So
Exactly.
This building couldn't become housing. It's an office building. What else can you do with it? make it a hotel and casino.
Well, it's got really deep floor plates, right? Starting from the bat, just from a practical perspective, it's got really deep floor plates, which makes it
This is real estate terminology now. Floor plates.
All right, I'll stop. It's just not conducive for a conversion to housing. But then it's also in the center of the bow tie, right? Like, think about it. You want to walk into your apartment at the end of the night and people are hanging out on the red steps. It's not the right neighborhood to continue to build housing in because it's already an entertainment neighborhood. You have attractions, just live attractions happening. You have street vendors. You have people passing through to go to shows, coming out of shows late at night. It's not a residential neighborhood, and so we think that that's the appropriate place. In fact, we think if the state only had one license to give for downstate and put it anywhere, the place that makes sense is Times Square because it already has the built-in tourism. Right? People come every year, every day to Times Square to be entertained, to take pictures. Right? Handles 64 million people walk through Times Square daily or annually, excuse me. Like that's an unbelievable stat, right? When you think about it, but the infrastructure is already there. So is Times Square crowded at times? Yeah, but it's because it has the infrastructure to even handle that massive crowds, right? When you look at some of the other places that have been proposed for these projects, if you were to just take 10,000 people and drop them somewhere, like just 10,000 people, drop them somewhere on the east side of Manhattan, right? And if you're there, you're immediately gonna be like, what's happening? Why are there all these people here? You drop 10,000 people in Times Square, it's just another Wednesday in Times Square.
Right. Okay. So I know with these casino bids and the projects, typically a lot of partners come out. You have different nonprofits, you have different local businesses that are your supporters. So talk to us about some support that you've garnered around this project specifically.
So the beauty of our project, and because of our design, intentionally not adding the stuff that destination travelers for gaming expect to find, we've been able to partner with a whole slew of businesses around us. In fact, most of the businesses that are directly around us, because it's a commercial neighborhood, are supporting us, right? So everyone from Jeff Bank, the owner of Alley Cart, and Carmine's, which is directly across the street, to the town hall. Me too. To the town hall, which is an entertainment venue that's supporting us because we're not putting any new entertainment venues inside the building. We're not trying to take away from what Times Square already offers. We're trying to enhance it. Like I said, we've partnered with One Times Square. Those bathrooms that I mentioned, we've actually partnered with them to make them publicly accessible. So they're privately owned, privately maintained, publicly accessible bathrooms for Times Square, right? If we get the gaming license.
Wow, so that's unheard of even to have public bathrooms in Times Square.
Well, it's been one of the big concerns and challenges the city faces, right? Like you have all kinds of elected officials who have been talking about the need to produce more bathroom equity, right? And so we just, as a private entity that wants to partner with government and knows that like New York's success is our success, why shouldn't we work to try to provide these bathrooms in the densest commercial district in the state, right? We're just doing our civic duty and using this gaming license as a vehicle to do it.
Right. It's like you said, it's going back to understanding the politics, the government, the personalities, and wanting to be there as a public servant that can provide a service and fulfill a need that the community needs.
Absolutely. And we're doing more than just public bathrooms. We are partnered with the Lower East Side Ecology Center, a woman named Christine Datz-Romero. She's phenomenal. Her mission is to help raise awareness about environmental change, but also then engage communities and get them involved in the process of recognizing our carbon footprints and what we can do either on a micro or a macro level to solve it. And so we've partnered with her to support the community composting efforts that she already does in Hell's Kitchen at Matthew Palmer's Park and at Manhattan Plaza. And then it continued to expand it to add a third site, as well as plant 200 new trees all over the west side of Manhattan, right? And it ties in together because as you do community composting and as you do education sessions, you get the community more engaged in the trees that are around them and how they're nourished. And when that happens, you have a community that cares about those trees and takes care of them and then wants to plant more, right? It's the right way to bring in new trees. We could just go and plant new trees, but you want the community to care about them, to feel a sense of ownership for them. And that's at the core of what Christine does. And I think I have a lot of respect for her.
Wow. So like even the Lower East Side Ecology Center that you just mentioned, how does that play into this project?
So we've partnered with them. So the state put out a request for applications, right? And within it, you have to fill out all the normal standard stuff for owning, operating a casino, right? But then on top of that, and what the process that started on June 30th is the community advisory process, right? And so you have to demonstrate community support. And then in that RFA, there are certain prompts that say, well, what are you doing to partner with local nonprofits? What are you doing to partner with local workforce development programs? And so we went out into the community and we met for 4 years. We've done thousands of meetings, meeting with our neighbors, the commercial businesses in Times Square, and the residents westerly of Times Square in Hell's Kitchen and Clinton, and at times in Chelsea, to understand what we could be doing better to partner with them. If we have this great benefit and this tremendous responsibility of receiving one of these gaming licenses, we should make sure that we are helping use that benefit that we get to solve some of the community problems that normally go to government, right? And so bathrooms is one example of that. Reforestation through tree planting is one of those. Sanitation is one of those. So we've partnered with the Doe Fund, which is both a workforce redevelopment and a sanitation program, right? It's a nonprofit that looks at people who have been formerly incarcerated, homeless. It gives them housing and then gives them workforce retraining through sweeping, cleaning, and promotions in that Ready, Willing, and Able program. And then they can either leave the program and go on, or they can continue on and stay and continue to promote up the ladder. So it's a great, great program.
I think this is something to really point out to people, because I think when people hear like, oh, these humongous commercial projects are benefiting developers and look at them going around buying support from the community, it's an important distinction to make that this is actually government mandated to put yourself out there in the community and build relationships with nonprofits and ecology centers to benefit everyone.
Yeah, you know, I've heard that before. Aren't you just buying support? And it's really, it's not frustrating. The way to describe it, I think, is you just hope that people who are researching this have read the material, right? So it's like you're asking questions about it and you're looking at it, but if you read the RFA, it says like, what are you doing to support local communities? What are you doing to align with the local community's goals? If the local community board's goal, right, is cleaner streets, of course we're gonna go partner with the sanitation. If the local community board's goal is improve security, of course. We've partnered with Bill Bratton and Teneo, $81 million security plan for Times Square and Hell's Kitchen to make it safer. That's like, they guided us to this place, and we just went out and met with the community for years and years and years. And today, to this day, we still did community meetings today, and we're still refining the plan. And it's not gonna stop just because we win the license, right? Like, part of the responsibility of operating projects in neighborhoods is you are part of that community, right? We already own buildings in Times Square. We're part of that community. And if we get this new use, we need to continue to make sure it integrates into that community. And that's our responsibility as developers, as New Yorkers.
I would imagine that the naysayers that we're talking about who say like, oh, you're buying support, they're probably not reading the RFA.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've heard it from reporters, which is, you know, it's surprising because I just say that, like, you should read the RFA because we're just doing what it says. We're like answering the questions with our support, you know,
right,
with how we've partnered with the community. So
okay, so I mean, I want to talk about, you mentioned what, $81 million public safety plan. Mm-hmm. So what does that actually mean? What does that look like?
So it's incremental to what the NYPD already does. The NYPD has something like 91 officers that only police in the Times Square district, right? On top of that, we're going to add 41 new privately funded security officers. We're also going to add new patrol cars. We're going to add new cameras. We're going to add an intelligence sharing center that coordinates all of that activity, right? Most of the activity that is coordinated happens downtown at One Police Plaza. We can do that on site at 1515 Broadway for faster response times. You know, the program was designed by Commissioner Bill Bratton. He was actually at the meeting this morning as well.
Wow, what a big shot meeting this morning.
So, you know, he innovated something that our current commissioner, Jess Tisch, also emphasizes, which is cops on dots, right? They identify hotspots for disturbances, crime, and then they place officers there as a deterrence method, right? So we're at, and it's proven to work. It's now become a national model for how to address crime, right? And so we're employing that same strategy, just privately funding. We're putting cops on dots all throughout Times Square and Hell's Kitchen to work in coordination with the uniformed on-duty officers as a as a preventative measure to crime. And then, should something occur, our officers, our security force will be there to assist the officers, just like they do at One Vanderbilt for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm thinking of what other opposition or tension could be out there that would make people against this project. Because from what you explained, you're not taking away any housing, you're retrofitting in one building, you're not taking away from the foot traffic around the area. You want people to explore, and they'll just go to the 1515 Broadway for gaming. Maybe there's concern about public safety. You've addressed that.
You know what it is? I think change is scary. And in New York, you know, that's extra true, right? Because New York, we live in the most important, exciting, and at times scary city in the world, right? We all care about it, and we all care about its future. And so we want to help play our part in that, right? And so when people hear this new thing is coming, regardless of what it is, there's a level of apprehension. Then take the fact that most people's experience with a gaming facility or casino is what they expect in Las Vegas or Atlantic City. But that's not what we're doing here, right? In fact, we're going so far to try to integrate our expansive model of what a gaming facility in New York should be, meaning we're not going to have theaters, we're not going to have new theaters, we're not going to have restaurants that accommodate all of our demand, we're not going to have the hotel rooms that accommodate all of our demand. We've used Caesars Rewards program to partner with all of those local restaurants. So Caesars Entertainment is the largest gaming operator in North America. And they're the largest gaming database in the entire world. I said before, 65 million members. Those rewards members game wherever they will game, whether it be overseas or if they game in, say, New Orleans or they game in the Northeast, then they go to Las Vegas to redeem their points at Caesars properties, right? They can get those points and they can go spend them at retail stores. They can go see Broadway shows in Las Vegas. They can go see Cirque du Soleil. Whatever it is that they want to see, that's there for them in Las Vegas. We can get that customer base to come to New York but right now there's no place for them to redeem their points. And so Caesars Entertainment, the CEO Tom Reeg, for the first time ever, said that their rewards points, Caesars rewards points, can transfer outside of Caesars properties with no penalty, meaning $1 spent for a point on a Caesars property is the same as $1 spent at Carmine's, right, or at the town hall. So that's the way we create an integrated ecosystem through these Caesars Rewards members, right? They get to come here and they already have these points, and then they can go explore all that Times Square and all of New York City, quite frankly, has to offer. Because we're located in Times Square and because there's so much mass transit, it's easy for us to partner with restaurants up in Harlem, right? Like Melba's, right? It's easy for us to partner with restaurants in Queens, like Blend. It's easy for us to partner with restaurants in Brooklyn because it's a 20 to 25-minute commute from every borough into the heart of Manhattan, Times Square.
Wow. So through this reward program, someone can go to Melba's in
Absolutely.
Harlem?
Melba's a partner of the project. And yes, you can go to Melba's and you can use Caesars Rewards points at Melba's and you can get yourself fried chicken or collard greens or catfish, whatever you want.
Wow. Times Square is known as the theater district. So how will this project complement everything else that's happening on Broadway?
Yep. We believe this project has tremendous benefits for Broadway. There's a synergy between theater and gaming as an entertainment. Most shows go to Las Vegas to be near and partnered with a gaming facility. And the best part about Times Square for us is we don't have to bring that here. We just have to come here and complement what they do. But we're taking it another step further. We've partnered with the actors and the musicians of Broadway, Actors Equity and Local 802, to provide tremendous benefits to their members and to the Broadway working community that we've heard from them over the last 4 years to help make it a better working environment for them and for us when we're up and running. So for example, one of the things that we heard most common was that, acting and musical jobs on Broadway are not permanent, right? And when you have to audition a lot and you have to go get gigs, that comes with what are you gonna do with your child? Right? Can you leave them at home? Can you get a friend to come over? Well, we're providing daycare for Broadway's workers, right? So that they can make it to that gig and have that opportunity, have that shot to get back on the stage, get back in the orchestra pit. We're also providing them student debt relief. We're providing them medical debt relief and a flexible rental assistance program for those moments when they're in between shows. And we just did this partnership 2 weeks ago. We were talking to them again as we continue to do, and they mentioned to us it would be really great if there was a way to do something for us when we're in terms of jobs in the project when we're not working, because so many of our members, it's transitional. And so we worked with Caesars, and there's going to be a monthly job fair with exclusive opportunities just for the workers of Broadway when they are between shows, right? And it works for the project because they're always trying to keep stuff staffed up, whether it's dealing at the table, hospitality, whether it's working in the restaurants, which a lot of actors do normally in between gigs. We're going to have space for them, and it will create a very nice synergy for them when they come off of shows. They can get on. When other shows end, they can come back into the project. It will become cyclical and supportive of all of their needs.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Did you come up with it?
It's a collective. Right? It's a partnership, right? When you're really working with the community, they're talking to you about their ideas. You're trying to work with them to see what you can do to help, and it comes together naturally. Okay,
I love that. What else? Give me more ideas, more insight.
So one of the ones that I'm most proud of is we've partnered with Landlord. It's like the globally renowned LGBTQ+ provider operating in Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen, They've been there forever. I have family that gets treated there at Landlord. I think the world of them. And so we, in conversation with them, learned that there are new advancements coming in PrEP, in PEP, that are in the final stages of approval here. Right now, they already have it in Europe and in the United Kingdom. In fact, there's a facility that called the Dean Street Clinic, and it's like the gold standard in the world for how to deliver these new rapid prevention methods. And so they said we want to be positioned for, as these come online in the United States, to take advantage of them and bring them to the community. And so we have provided $3 million in funding for the Landlord Center for Excellence in Sexual Health. It's going to be modeled after the Dean Street facility. It's going to help provide the newest in research and the newest in preventative treatment right to Hell's Kitchen and right to Chelsea, and to give them another footprint within the community, right? Because it's expensive to stay in Manhattan, as everyone knows, and they're a nonprofit just trying to make healthcare free for everyone. So wow. It's a great partnership. We're also doing another $2 million just for their supportive services, because they don't turn people down when they need care, and they also provide a safe, comfortable, welcoming space for anyone to come in and get treated, right? And that's not always possible for people of LGBTQ plus, people who are identified as LGBTQ plus, because not every care provider knows how to communicate and create those safe spaces for them.
Mm-hmm. What else?
The Landlord does great.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more.
So another great one that we're doing is ambucycles, right? So I don't know if you've seen them or heard of them, but this is a model that works really, really well in Tel Aviv. We are seeding the initial capital for a fleet of ambucycles and for staff to train them. They're partnering with a local EMS service, and they will work in conjunction with FDNY and EMS response in Manhattan to arrive quicker to an incident, right? So normally 911 gets a call, they then dispatch an ambulance. At the same time, these metascooters, these ambucycles get dispatched, and they can get to the patient or to where the need is much, much faster than a big ambulance, right? There's traffic all across Manhattan.
Yeah.
There's about a 12-minute response time in Midtown when an ambulance calls. These medical scooters can get there in 3 minutes or under. And so we're going to reduce that response time by 9 minutes. That's going to save people's lives, right? Like 9 minutes when you have a heart attack, there's a difference between life and death.
Now,
right?
is that Hatzalah?
It is Hatzalah.
Because I have a picture on one of their ambucycles. It's orange.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I do.
They are orange. Well, we've worked with them. I mean, it was incredible. What they were able to do to analyze the environment in Manhattan to figure out how they could reduce times and who they would partner with. And it's a tremendous group. They're doing great work, and we're proud to partner with them on this.
So they'll be dispatched all over the city?
We're going to start in Midtown Manhattan, in Times Square, Hell's Kitchen. And then our goal, our vision, right, is for this to expand on its own, right? Hatzalah's program, Metascooter program, it's self-sustaining, right? Because people, volunteers, philanthropists can sponsor a scooter. And then at the end of the day, they get a report of all the lives they save. And then everyone wants to do their part. Our goal is for that to happen here in Manhattan too. Because there's a lot of people in Manhattan who do have means and they support philanthropic endeavors. There's a lot of businesses that do the same, right? So if we can just help get it started, this is something that we believe can really rev up organically on its own and with our support to really cover the whole city. But we're starting with Times Square and Hell's Kitchen.
So for anyone out there that says a casino in Times Square, that sounds like a nightmare. Why are they wrong?
I mean, they're wrong because when you think about it, when you compare it to all the other places that one of these things could go, right? They're either vacant sites that could be for housing and hopefully affordable housing, right? Or they could be put to another use, or they are putting them right in a residential neighborhood or somewhere where it doesn't make sense, right? You have to think about what is gaming at its core. It's just a form of entertainment. It's another use of entertainment. So if we have an entertainment district that has a ton of theatrical use, it has a ton of musical use, why not put this new entertainment use next to those things that all coexist together and complement each other all around the world? Second, when you look at Times Square, right, because it's so dense and so commercial, it's the only place where one of these gaming facilities can go where it can do so much good for all of the businesses around it. That's why we have over 200 local businesses supporting us, right? Just in our community. No one else has that, but we have it because they know the spillover effect, the halo effect that we're going to create through Caesar's Rewards and through the fact that we are intentionally not trying to capture all of our demand is going to spill out into that neighborhood and help revitalize everything in Times Square, right? From the retail to the outdated office that's getting converted, like One Times Square. It's like we're going to do at 1515 Broadway, to some of the restaurants who are still struggling for patrons when theater declines, right? The restaurants in that neighborhood decline, right? Especially as the office use is left, right? If there's not office tenants coming down and checking out the restaurants in the evening for meetings for dinner or bringing their family in before they see a show, the restaurants are struggling, right? And so Times Square is doing okay, but Times Square is 1% of Manhattan and New York City's landmass. It's 15% of its economic activity, right? When Times Square does well, all of New York does well. And we are wholeheartedly, unquestionably, and forever committed to New York. And so we would not try to do something to Times Square, do something in Times Square that would be detrimental to it. It would be bad business for us, and that's just not what we do.
Right, because Jay-Z's from New York.
Jay-Z's from New
Mark
York.
Holiday's from New York.
Mark Holiday's from Long Island. He's a Long Island guy. He's
a Long Island guy. Where is he from?
He grew up in Northport.
Okay, there we go. Long Island, New York. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So heart in New York, heart of New York in Times Square.
Always New York. New York or nowhere.
So what's been more challenging, you think, like this type of a project, putting the pieces together, or your work in politics and government?
At times, there are things that feel like the most challenging. Since I'm in this one, I'll say this has been the most challenging project I've ever been a part of, right? It's long, it's complicated, and it's definitely forced me to learn things that I didn't know about subjects that I didn't know, but I enjoy that the most, right? Like I've always been someone who I think enjoys learning as I go along. And, one of the things that you learn in government, Chuck Schumer certainly stressed this, was like learning how to identify problems in communities. Then you had to find a government solution for that problem, right? Here, it's amazing. We have a project that we'd like to do. We go and we listen to people in the community, and then we have to find these clever solutions to try to help meet their needs. It's very, very rewarding and fulfilling. So,
I love it. I'm really proud of you as my friend for 12 years. I'm
proud of you as my friend, too. Look at you and your media empire, and you finally got me in the room.
I know. I'm really happy that you're here. My first friend in politics doing his first interview with me.
Well, I'm glad I did it with you.
5 fun facts. I already revealed the first one. You're a twin.
5 fun facts. I'm a twin. I'm a massive Paris Saint-Germain fan.
A who?
Paris Saint-Germain, the football club, the soccer club. Remember the singing in French?
Yes, you're French. Oh, you speak French. That's another one.
No, I don't speak French.
You cook French food.
I don't speak French. Je parle un peu, je comprends un peu moins. I do like to cook. I love wine. And I like the opera. I don't know that many people know that, but I love the opera. I can't wait for this season to start again. And I love Broadway. I think I'm going to a show in 2 or 3 weeks, so.
Mr. Arts and Culture.
Come from an artistic family.
Tell us.
That's where we stop. No.
Until next time with Garrett Armwood in the room.
All right.